Let's talk about JavaScript. Why does it exist? You see, JavaScript came onto the scene in 1995 specifically to make websites more interactive. Up until that point, we had HTML and CSS, and that allowed us to have text and styling on a web page. For example, this was the very first website created. This is it. And if we open up the developer tools and we have a look here, we'll see that we have our HTML, which is right over here. And then although this website doesn't have any styling, we can add styling if we wanted to. Let's say we wanted in header 1 to have a background of blue. Now, we added some styling, but this website is static. That is, it doesn't really change. What we see is what we get. But now with JavaScript, we have the ability to make things interactive. We have the ability to change our websites based on user actions. And websites like these, by the early 2000s, turned into web apps because they started doing more and more things than just displaying information. But throughout the years, the role of JavaScript has not really changed. All JavaScript is doing is saying, hey, based on what the user does on the website, do something on the screen. Do something based on inputs. What do I mean? Think of it this way. All we're doing with JavaScript is to add logic to our websites, right? If this happens, then do this. And in this course, we're going to learn the if this happens, then do this paradigm. And you'll find out at the end of the day, the equation or the function that we use is always this. When the user does something, let's say loads a website, clicks a button, hits refresh. When a user does that, with the JavaScript that we write and the input that we get, that is the user action, return some sort of an output. And that output is usually something displayed on the screen. We take the user, we write some JavaScript that waits for these user actions and then returns our desired state or desired website. If this happens, then do this. And this course is all about that. What is this JavaScript file that we can use, that we can code, that we can write to build some really fun projects? And we're going to use the power of JavaScript with the window object. What do I mean? If we go back to our browser and we go to the console, we can type in the window object, and this window object is a Swiss Army knife or a tool that all the browsers provide for us that gives us a lot of powers to do things, to use JavaScript to do these interactions. And throughout the course, we're going to be using this window object, things like set timeout, things like the DOM or the document object model, which is what we see over here, to modify this DOM, this HTML, to make it interactive. Now, why is this interesting? Why do we care? Well, because at the beginning, we had these static sites. And now with JavaScript, we can have dynamic sites, pages that dynamically respond to user input and actions. And don't worry, at the end of it all, once we finish all our projects in this course, we have a special section where you learn what the advantages of frameworks like Angular, libraries like React and Vue, what the advantages are and when you should use them. So make sure you hang around for that one, because when you get to that part and you finish all projects, you'll finally understand what those popular libraries actually do. So let's dive in.